For sure, yeah.
Alright. Oh, okay, alright. I guess we're going over to our matchup screen, so this will be getting played very shortly. We've got Firestorm and Bubbles, so our Tier 1, Tier 4 matchup. Obviously, Firestorm is a little bit heavier favorite to win this matchup, but again, even against a player like Gigawatt, Bubbles was able to take at least one game off, showing that the upset, though unlikely, is not impossible, no matter the opponent.
Yeah, Bubbles definitely has the chops to keep up with the best here, and we'll be seeing that throughout this next match.
Again, I think the interesting thing, especially with a lot with how they were playing with Gigawatt, is it wasn't that they were, like, obviously, I think Gigawatt had the advantage in just about every mode of the game in terms of, speed and efficiency. But Bubbles was doing a really fantastic job keeping up through the set and never really falling too far behind until Phase 3, which, though you can say is a little bit easier with the clean garbage you get in Phase 1 and Phase 2, you still gotta be careful with where the garbage is gonna spawn on the Matrix. So, Bubbles being able to take full advantage of the clean garbage. A lot of people may take it for granted, but not an easy skill.
Definitely easier said than done.
And a little bit of skimming options coming out from Bubbles. FS obviously has that full clean stack over on our left. However, due to the garbage, Bubbles is actually going to be the first one to get max zone meter, digging their way down. A bit unfortunate that the garbage does end up switching columns. However, very low zone for Bubbles, so they're going to have a lot of time to get in T-spins. Oh, and I think missed the eyepiece rotate, so that zone's going to end early for Firestorm. However, if they're able to play fast enough outside of zone, it's not really going to matter too much. Bubbles is going to rely on this ulti to get some momentum. 63, and was definitely well worth the time spent. However, Firestorm, again, being lightning fast for this matchup, is able to get through with very little difficulty and is now sitting with about a quarter to a half zone meter advantage.
Excellent cut copy there for FS to squeeze out some more efficiency. I think this zone is going to go into Phase 3. Bubbles has to be prepared, and with that eyepiece misdrop, gonna have to stack up a lot to deal with this. But he does charge up his zone.
Definitely necessary. Firestorm's getting scarily close to finishing this one out. Is trying to find ways to get a 20, not really going to be there too conveniently, but 60 from the Perfectress coming out from Firestorm.
Yeah, super efficient, and Bubbles is going to be the one accepting into Phase 3 here. FS with a couple of misdrops, so there's going to be a little bit of a pause to that pressure. Bubbles has a bit of a chance here, but they're going to need a pretty good down stack, and it looks like right now Bubbles keeping up pretty well.
Little bit of I shouldn't have said anything. All right, misdrop there on Bubble's side. Does have options still available to keep that damage off their board as much as possible. But Firestorm, again, with a clean board against a Tier 1, is not a position you really want to be in. And that APM is just going to be too much for Bubbles to handle. Game 1 does go to Firestorm.
Yeah, Firestorm able to just keep growing that lead right into Phase 3, take that first game.
And again, we've got more tried and true 6-3 coming out from both Firestorm and Bubbles. And we saw Bubbles was able to react to a lot of the openers that Gigawatt was showing.
And yeah, looking like Bubbles just surviving this garbage really nicely. Goes into a zone here with double Tetrises. Looking pretty solid here. Takes the T-spin.
Very nice way to get that T-spin.
Oh, and that's a very fast 57 ulti. FS gonna have quite a bit to live up to here. Almost gets the PC, not quite, but 62-19. Pretty efficient there. Both players evening it out pretty nicely. See an imp cross here. And FS gonna be able to quickly and cleanly get down. Pretty close here. Max zone for Bubbles. FS not far behind. The DT cannon coming out pretty solid here. It's like a C-spin too. FS kind of crazy. Built up the T-spin on top too, Bubbles. A little bit further through that zone, though doesn't have enough time to finish it out. Into phase 3, both players a little even. Actually, FS on the receiving end of this garbage here. But doesn't seem to be at too big of a disadvantage.
Yeah, both players sitting at a quarter zone, trying to see if there are better ways to get through.
Yeah, ooh, that eyepiece misdrop on FS's end forces a pretty big upstack here. And Bubbles, it has to zone, but doesn't really have that much room to clear the garbage, and FS has a canceled out board and a full zone meter. This is terrifying, especially like from Firestorm. Let's see what they can do with this. Oh, that L piece misrotate is kind of rough though. The T piece, oh no.
Oh, that's two drops and okay, they get the full counter off, but
ooh. Looks like FS's like advantage is pretty diminished, but they're still definitely in it here. Still pretty high up, especially with all this garbage. Gonna trigger zone right now. Sees a really good down stack. Oh, builds up the TST as well. And Bubbles forced to counter all of this here. Lots of clean garbage to deal with, but the speed is there. Bubbles gonna be able to clear a lot. And yeah, still pretty even game here. Firestorm with the TST. Gonna go into... Okay, wait. Okay, for a second I thought FS was gonna Ren. Not quite a 4-wide, but... Still a huge down stack. Bubbles at the top, and with a quarter zone, not gonna have much time at all.
And now Firestorm is at max zone meter, has quite the advantage state to work with. Almost 4 minutes in. Just waiting to see, is Firestorm going to pull the trigger on a zone, or are they just going to keep building? It looks like they're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh, this is like a perfect position to for FS to start their zone. Gonna be able to get a lot out of this one. Oh, the like TST, the like foresight to build that. Super clean. FS gonna send 55 in phase 3. Huge. Yeah, they have more than enough room to build this TST tower now. They're like firmly in the pilot seat here. Bubbles, no zone to even begin to get out, unfortunately. That was crazy. What a solid zone from FS there.
Yeah, Bubbles was able to see the end of the garbage cube, but unfortunately it was...
Not quite, no, not quite enough. And already going into 6-3 yet again. Alright, but FS gets a lot of efficient T-spins off of this. I think Bubbles definitely aware of his opponent, gonna stay a bit low here. And both players already at max zone at around the same time. It's a matter of who's gonna activate it first. But FS trying to force it with all this pressure. Bubbles not gonna fold. Gonna be able to down stack. FS goes for a zone while having so many T-spins set up. That is a huge start. Counting to 4. This is a solid zone going into phase 2 here. FS barely doesn't get the ulti, but that is still a 60 attack 19. Bubble's gonna accept quite a bit here. Oh, but that T misspin, that's rough.
Oh, trying to build another T-spin. Where is it? There it is. Just barely in time.
And Bubbles is able to get out with a pretty efficient conversion there. Goes into zone. Inside phase 3. And that misdrop gonna reduce the time Bubbles has, but still in it here. FS is gonna go for the zone now. Has to upstack a lot, and phase 3's like diminished timer doesn't really give FS all the time they need to like fully get everything, but still get what they do get is super efficient. And already Bubbles at the top, forced to zone here. This is a rough spot to be in. Ooh, and there's just not enough room. FS just gonna keep up that pressure. 3-0. Alright. See the UE metal cannon from Bubbles, FS freestyling a little bit more on the 6-3 build. Ooh, a bit of a misdrop on Bubbles' end. Going to get down. FS starting with some pretty efficient T-spins. I love the 3-wide floating there. Pretty underrated aspect of this game is, you know, like the non-instant soft drop speed means that, you know, if you can like build an efficient T-spin like slightly higher, it does matter somewhat. That's why you see like PPT players like stack up a little bit instead of just like taking a bunch of efficient T-spins at the bottom, like, you know, like some Tetris players would.
Oh,
and
Bubbles,
FS
68 from Bubbles. Look at that.
Ooh, and that's just unfortunate timing for FS, who had like a bunch of T-spins, but just no way to get through with all this with the zone.
Oh, the holding to the eye preventing them from being able to get more out of that zone. They do have a quarter zone, but are likely going to need to pop another one, and so Bubbles is going to have some pretty good zone advantage after that attack from Firestorm.
For sure. Yeah, and Firestorm all the way down now. Pretty close, though Bubbles has the score advantage, gonna be in control of moving it to phase 3 here. FS desperately looking for that last bit of zone charge, gonna build up the side 4-wide. Pretty good in this situation because, like, triggering the 4-wide does give you the zone charge, though FS just goes for it.
Okay, I think it might have been a little bit too early, just judging by a couple of those stacking decisions. Is there going to be a good way to dig this out? No, it's not. And Bubbles, again, going to complete the no sweep.
And, yeah. Unfortunately, FS just didn't quite have the 4-wide continuation. And that leaves Bubbles on the board now. And yeah, right now we're seeing pretty solid upstack here. Feels like FS is like always like sending the pressure in these early phases, and Bubbles is like really utilizing that garbage to the fullest extent possible. Solid plays for FS to start zone here. Gonna have a lot of damage going into this. Bubbles needs to finish out this top pretty quickly. Gets the Perfectress for the 19. Not quite able to PC, like, one line too much there, but keeps it going still. It's a misdrop. FS gonna convert it into a C-spin though. Bubbles keeping it clean down there. What I said about like the soft drops applying doesn't matter as much when your opponent's gonna be the one sending you garbage and therefore like sending your like really low T-spin setups up. And alright, Bubbles trying to find a continuation, gets an 18. Going into phase 3 here, FS has to soft drop so much now because like they're just forced to activate zone at the very bottom. And this like phase 3 timer is not going to be kind to them because of that. Still going to be very efficient in it, but like, how much can they get out of this?
Oh,
the answer is enough to perfectly cancel.
Look at that 48 attack coming out of Firestorm. Oh no, that's a bit of an iffy misdrop on Bubbles' board. The 4-wide is still there. Okay, 15 Octarus. Firestorm, I believe, only has a quarter zone to fight back with. Trying to spike out, and unfortunately Bubbles with a bit of misplay at the top of the board. Okay, and so Firestorm going to be taking their 4th. Bubbles definitely trying to use the combo table as much as possible to get around some of that difficulty playing for phase 3, but Firestorm able to capitalize.
For sure, yeah. And there's going to be a little bit of upstacking on top of the garbage here. FS playing really efficient right now.
Both
All right,
sitting
both-
at max. Yep, okay, yep.
Both players with max zone. So FS is going to activate first.
Bubbles is still waiting to use it. I don't really know if they're looking for a good opportunity in terms of stacking up. All right, we get a T-spin and a Tetris. 63 Perfectress from Firestorm. That's really efficient.
Bubbles as well with a 1857. Oh, and FS with a bit of a misdrop. Bubbles needs to get to that L piece in order to send, but FS already out of that misdrop. Very quick fix there.
Good stuff to see out from Firestorm. And yeah, already back down at ground 0. Hits a max zone meter and sends it into phase 3. And the 4 wide is getting set up as they're actually just going to zone to make sure that they're not going to take any garbage going into this. Alright, and there's a bit of that. Ren Gaming going up to 14. Going to see if they can get more out of this. Not quite going to get another T-spin double, but 51 deck of Hectorstress still coming out from that zone. Oh, and an eyepiece misdrop on Bubbles board. That's going to be fatal. So 133, 118 coming out from Firestorm. I guess a bit more of the Ren Gaming that we've typically seen from TEC sets. But both Firestorm and Bubble seem to be using it pretty well in order to get some phase 3 closes. Okay, and again, we see Tried and True 6-3 coming out yet again from both Firestorm and from Bubbles. Not really trying to get too far behind, though. Not too much upstacking as well. And, oh, I think Bubbles might have... can't tell if there was a misdrop there or not, but I think there might have been an all-clear potentially, and I think that's why Bubbles was trying to stay low on the board as much as they could. Alright, and as we see, Firestorm is going to be going into their zone. Has been completely clean, even through 14, make that 16 lines, finally starting to skim. 19, but a 58 Perfectress coming out from Firestorm. Alright, and let's see what Bubbles has on their side of the board. 18, 19, going to get the 20, and still having to accept about 8 lines of garbage just from the sheer output that Firestorm has been dishing out. And things are getting a little bit scary for Bubbles. Wants to get a ton of zone meter, but Firestorm is about to send this into phase 3 just off of their regular stacking alone. That's a bit of scam. The T-spin double will send this into phase 3. However, Bubbles has done what they need to do. They have 3/4 zone, and it's matching Firestorm. Oh, a little bit of a misdrop. It looks like they're actually going to be the first to zone in this 10 situation. Trying to set up a good donation, but unfortunately only getting a T-spin single out of that one. Setting up some more 23-line Octo Risk. However, Firestorm has the whole board to work with. We get 6 lines, make that 8 coming out from Firestorm. Still clean without any skims. Finally, line 17. We get the center 4 wide coming out from Bubbles. Could potentially taint garbage, but in fact, just going to be used to send through the combo as quick as possible. 28 Davotigger could be a fatal misdrop if they're not able to skim through. And unfortunately, it looks like that's what's going to be reality as Firestorm takes their 6th. A very impressive showing from that very quick center 4 wide. Almost gave them a shot at living through, but unfortunately, the Z misdrop is going to do it for them. My goodness. And, oh, is it? Oh, okay, I think there might have just been an early misdrop on Bubbles' board. Initially, I thought it was going to be a variant of a TD opener into PC with that one little Mino at the bottom of the board. But, alright, looks like that's what we're going with. So Bubbles trying to work their way over to the garbage. Again, it's going to be a bit of an awkward 1-8 stack for them. Firestorm still has yet to accept garbage, so they can just build the well wherever they need to. They're going to build a T-spin double on top of their well.
Very nice stuff. Looks like gonna be very high zoning coming out from Bubbles. There's the ulti for 51. And although there wasn't too many T-spins in Firestorm's zone, 57 comes out from them. Bubbles still trying to make things work out for them. Oh, okay, unfortunately, a bit of a bad miss drop. Going to force an early zone that is going to put zone meter back into Firestorm's advantage state. Also, as well, leading in the points, so determining when Phase 3 happenings is still in control of Firestorm. Bubbles at 36,000, not really in a point where they can make a threat for that. However, Firestorm's getting dangerously close. That zone meter is going to halt their Phase 3 arrival. However, Bubbles needs to get as much zone meter as they can, and I think they hit max and is just going to go for it, just apprehensive when Firestorm's going to let the Phase 3 launch. Very nice Z spin coming out from Firestorm. Unfortunately, not going to get one last T-spin in there, but it's still a 60 Perfectress coming out from Firestorm. And, oh my goodness, not quite going to get the ulti. I think missed the kick, and unfortunately for Bubbles, that's actually going to do it for them. There we go, 7-1 from Firestorm. Bubbles seems to be the anti-sweep champion, playing the Tier 2 and Tier 1 matchups already, and not getting swept in either of those sets. Very well done. But Firestorm, again, the unrelenting pressure going to close things out. 7-1, as they have officially managed to get their top spot. Even with a loss to Gigawatt, I'm pretty sure they're guaranteed to qualify for top 16 at this point.
Very, very nicely done from FS. Sitting pretty going into, the rest of these Group G playoffs here. I think, pretty much, guaranteed to qualify.